I'm Renee Yates. I'm the director of the Office Army Cemeteries, and I have the honor of being responsible for the team that we pulled together today to take your three children home. President Stiff-Arm, sir, I promise you, pledge you transparency. So everything we do, we will talk with you. Must inform you that we won't allow any photos in the cemetery once we begin disinterment operations. No cameras, no photos.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Chris Koenig. We've had the benefit of meeting some of you before. Sir, thank you for coming back and trusting us to return these three children. I'm the site manager. I oversee all things here, so security, privacy, and respect are my top threes, and I hope that everybody will see that here for the next couple days that we spend together. We come here today in a good way and a good heart, and we hope that you see that. The whole site has a perimeter of privacy fencing. Nobody can see in or out. We can't do anything about the noise. It's a very loud intersection here. We can't do anything about that. But nobody can come in or out without us knowing, because we're on an active installation. I'm an archaeologist. Well, I was an archaeologist. Now I'm a tribal liaison and a cemeterian for the Office of Army Cemeteries. Everybody that works on this project is extremely experienced in what they do, and they were handpicked to be here. Staff are going to remove the sod, the topsoil. We're going to place that aside. Then they're going to come in with a piece of equipment and strip about this much soil off. We will stop at every step of the way to make sure everybody's comfortable before we proceed. So essentially, we'll remove the about this much soil off once the topsoil is removed. Then they're going to come down on what we call the grave shaft. We can explain that, but it's a little soil discoloration, and that's the original grave shaft from 1927. Then eventually we're going to come down on top of the pine casket itself. We're going to see the nails first, and we may or may not see some wood. The staff will remove the wood, and then we'll actually be inside the casket, and it's all hand excavation. There is no mechanical tools used in any way, shape, or form. When we begin the disinterment of the children themselves, we leave it up to the family and the tribe on what you bring home. So we're going to save all the soil and separate it. We're going to save all the wood and separate it, and we're going to save all the nails and separate it. We have no idea what we're going to find until we find it, but I will tell you that every grave has had remains in them. The records are limited. Unfortunately, the BIA did not keep great records.
Dr. Winburn, but I hope that you call me Alicia. And I'm a forensic anthropologist, so I'm an expert in interpreting human skeletal remains. So I am the forensic analysis team lead, and I have my colleague, Dr. Kim, who will also be analyzing one of the children's remains. I will be point on two of the children's remains. She will be point on the third. All of the methods that we are doing are visual, where we measure the length of a bone, we look at the bones. I'm happy to show you the forensic tent if you're interested, but this is a non-invasive, non-destructive process of analysis. I would be expecting Almeida's pelvis, her head, to look different from John's and Bishop's. In terms of their stature, we have records that may be more or less accurate, but their statures do differ. I can measure the length of a long bone, for example, the thigh bone, the femur, run that through an equation and figure out approximately how tall that person was. Is that consistent with the records for the children? If their teeth are still in place in their jaws, then I will ask to take an x-ray. And I wouldn't do anything without your permission. To that end, I'd like to formally ask your permission for myself and my team to handle the children's remains. We also do take limited photographs, again, of those biological indicators that we're honing in on to make those estimates. Should anyone else ever need to verify my results, we need to have images of, for example, the teeth, the long bones, the state of development of those bones. So we will be taking limited photographs.
It comes directly to me and is held. It's not released to anybody but you, sir, should you request it.
I want to thank all of you for the hospitality, working with everyone that we might come and bring our relatives home. Trying to stay focused here because in all of this, it's a reminder of a dark time in our history, the history of the United States of America. I'm a school teacher. You need to understand that a lot of the dysfunction, unhealthiness amongst our people and our communities had its beginnings here. And in many places such as this. This wasn't the only boarding school for Indian children. For me as a teacher, sometimes I find myself raising my voice at the kids. And I stop myself. Because as my late mother said, she said, remember my boy, that child or that's someone's baby. How would you want your baby treated? So that rings in my ear as we're here to bring them home. So at that time, someone's baby. I'm worried, completely respect, the work that you do in your field of study. That information you said goes to you, Renee.
Yes.
We worry about things. In years past, it's been said that our people and their bones have been studied. I want, some assurance that that won't continue. I understand for your record keeping, Chris, as you said, not good record keeping. You don't have much knowledge about the graves and so forth. So I respect that fact of there being record keeping, but with our relatives, with our children, enough's already been done to them. If that could be some type of assurance that studies aren't going to be used, numbers aren't going to be used to help in any monies or research and things such as that things are protected, because we don't want things like that. I really am grateful to all of you. It's sure been really thorough in communicating with us. There's a gentleman there with the camera who came and spoke to us. A lot of times that doesn't even happen. Like, when can we record? When can we do? I really appreciate that. And you walking us through the whole process, I really appreciate that. But, I just wanted to bring that up, to make sure, to ensure that there's that protection of that information.
So that report is protected with the most.
And I'd like to say too, I appreciate your words, sir, and this is not archaeology. We are not here to study anything. This is a dignified disinterment. We're here to return these children home in a good way. That's it.
I will treat the children with my utmost respect. To speak to your comments about trauma, I also give the children a full trauma analysis, same as I would any forensic case decedent that I analyze in my day-to-day job back in Florida.
One of the things I want to ask you folks, if it's all right, if you bear with us, because before we leave from here, I want my son here to smudge us up. That's what we believe, because we're going over to a cemetery and there's a lot of spirits over there. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna come and contact these babies that we're gonna take home. So we want to be clean. That's what we clean ourselves off of our medicine. We're going to be emotional, that's for sure, because this is something great, something wonderful that we're doing here, that my brother talked about. But at the same time, but when we leave from here, before we leave from here, I want to have my son smudge everybody up, because it's, a lot of us are even getting emotional just talking about it. I know I am. I have experienced something like this from my elders, and one of the things I'm trying to sit here and thinking about what we're talking about here is we want to do this in a good way, but we need your guys' respect to accept what we're trying to do here, because you contacted our chief here to come down and and his group come down here and get our remains of our babies. So we want to do that if it's okay with you folks to allow us to do that.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, hey, thank you for doing whatever you can to accommodate us. My grandparents are boarding school survivors, and they were 3 and 5 years old when they were taken from their families. And they were put in cattle cars with dirty straw and carted across the country far away from their people and their homelands. And what Thewas touched on, my brother here, he talked about our historical trauma that is prevalent to this very day, where it's at within us. We're still a strong people. We still have a healthy, good connection to the earth. And that's what sustained us. But we do have these new introduced traumas, and they are prevalent to this day. So when I was asked to come here by my people and my leadership here, I remember my grandmother. I was 7 years old when she passed away. And she didn't talk about anything like this with her children or other grandchildren at all, but she shared these things with my mother. Her and my mom became really good friends. They weren't just in-laws. My mom really became close with my grandma. My grandmother lived with us, and I remember her crying in mourning every single night before she fell asleep. And she would talk to people. She would talk Iitaanɔɔn'i. And we always left her alone, but my mother would be the one to go back and comfort her and visit with her. That started to come out of her before she passed away. And she shared many stories with my mother about her experience as a child, the good and the bad. She shared the experiences that her husband had, my grandfather, Frank Cutsthroat. He too being a boarding school survivor, like I said. So I'm really grateful for these young people that came with us from home. Especially them, I would say. You are our future. Just like these children were the future at one time, because they still are. They're still a part of our lives because we're here with them even right now. And all these other children that we don't know from other tribes, other nations that are still buried here. So no matter what happens today, we're going to have a good day. People have been saying that. The first thing we'd said when we got up this morning, we realized that it was already beginning to be a good day. I'm grateful for the words of my chief and my spiritual leaders. I want you young folks to remember, never again. Iitaanɔɔn'i Okahe nakoda oyate. We're going to be all right. You're a good, strong people. You come from ancestors that lived a good way, and you're going to continue that. You're going to make this good, and you're going to make this right with the help of these good people here. I'm glad you guys came with us. I'm glad you're here to help us bring our babies home. Inihea.
To me, it's a good day to be here. Sad. We remember what our children went through when they came here. When he was here last year, you gave us that tour of this school. he showed us where them kids got off the train, marched them into that building, cut their hair. He lost them, and the things that they had to go through, the experiences, you know, being this far away from home, their moms, their dads, their brothers and sisters like that. I got pretty emotional standing there, thinking what was going through their minds when that was happening to them. Their parents that they left behind. What was happening to their children. And as we toured this school that they had to go to, and I don't remember this gentleman's name, and I don't really care to. He's the one that said, kill the Indian to save the man. That tells you something. How they thought about native people. How they thought about that we were nothing. And to this day that still rings true. Our people are still second-class citizens. Even though we're the first people of this country, we're still treated that way. But my relatives are here to try to make it right by taking our children home. Long time. It's been a long time since they've been here. One of those children in there are a blood relative of mine through Lambo. My great-great-grandpa, uncle to Heavy Hair, Almeida. So I'm happy to be here to represent the Lambo side, but the rest of the blood that we all carry as Aani people to come. I would have to say, I guess, on a full circle, take care of them, and. Ever since I've been here, and I see her come here last year, I've been praying to her, talking to her, and pretty emotional. We're told, it's good to share tears, but it's healing. Today's the beginning of our healing process to take our people home, our babies home. And I want to thank you all for giving us that opportunity. And we'll be back to get our other relative that we won't be able to take home today. And, I'm glad our young ones that came here to share this experience. So when they get older, they'll know how to do this process. They'll be called upon as they learn it. Our teachers are these three gentlemen, teaching these young ones our process, a little bit of our culture, how we do this. I'm just honored and humbled to be part of this, and you guys allowing us to come back and take our babies home. Inhale.
Tribal Historic Preservation Officer for the tribes. I'm also today we're here representing one of our societies that had been gone for over 100 years, 150 plus years, recently come back to our people. Myself and my brother Catcher here, we're representing our dog society, and we're here to renew those roles and responsibilities of this society. So I'm here dual role as the preservation officer, but also as a dog society member. And just to echo everything our spiritual leaders, our chief, our society leader said, it's an honor to be here. It's been an honor to get to know you folks over the past year, and we really appreciate your sincerity and your honesty and your openness, and we're looking forward to taking our loved ones home. It's going to be, we said You know, we all know it's going to be very, very emotional. It is emotional. But when it's all said and done, they'll be home where they belong. And we'll all feel good because of it. I want to thank everybody here. Everybody in this room here today is meant to be here. Whether you think you were or not, you were meant to be here today to partake and to witness. And I just want to thank you all for that. Again, an extreme heartfelt gratitude to our spiritual leaders here, because first and foremost, we're a spiritual people, and it's always been with us, but now we're seeing a resurgence among our people back home, and it's because of folks like these that kept us grounded throughout the years, through the hard times, that we're bringing things back. Things are coming back for us. And so as they pray for us, keep them also in your prayers and your thoughts, because they need prayers and thoughts just as much as us, maybe more so than the rest of us, because they bear a heavy burden for us. And so with that, again, just thank you, everybody. It's much appreciated.
Iitaanɔɔn'i is it Toya catcher that hospital. We flew into Harrisburg, Pennsylvania last night, all the way from Billings, Montana, and we're here at Carlisle Army Barracks and at this Indian cemetery here for these kids that were buried here, that were left behind, that were at the boarding school all them years ago. We come back here to bring them home, bring our people home, 3 of them. Through my grandma and my mom, I learned about what happened to her and our people that went to boarding school. And when I say went to boarding school, it doesn't mean anything like getting up in the morning and saying goodbye to your folks to get on the school bus to head to the elementary, you know. She was 3 years old. I think my grandpa was 5 when they were forcibly taken from their folks and our people. Didn't wait too long. I was probably around 8 or 9 when she started telling me some things. But I remember my grandma, every night, every evening, she would go back into her bedroom in the back of the cabin, and she would cry. She would mourn. It was a mournful cry. She was still mourning. And then I'd hear her talk in Indian. I'd hear her speaking Iitaanɔɔn'i. And she was, as a little boy, I could tell that she was talking to people. She was visiting. She would cry first, and then she would visit. Then she'd go to bed. She'd go to sleep. And I'd always ask my mom, what's going on? Why does she do that? And my mom would just say, she's mourning. That's her way of trying to heal. I think of these stories that I was told about their experience, and I'll share one of them. This was what happened to my grandfather, Frank. Matilda remembers that soldiers and Indian police came and rounded them all up, forcibly took them from their parents and put them in wagons, or forced them to walk with the soldiers and the police on horseback. And they took them to the train, and there was dirty straw thrown in the floor of these cattle cars, and all these kids were loaded up in these cars on the train, and they took a long trip. And then when they They got to their destination, they were unloaded, and they were gathered up and lined up, and they had an Indian interpreter speak to them in their language and tell them that this is the last time you're going to be told anything in your language. From here on out, you will not speak it anymore. We're going to teach you how to speak English and live like an American. And then they cut their braids off. All their hair was piled in one pile. They took their moccasins and they put them in another. And in the third pile, they took any kind of thing that was dear to them, like anything wakan or that they had around their neck, or like a little baby doll they might have taken with them, pemmican pouch, anything like that. And that was made into a third pile. And they poured kerosene over each one, and then they had a priest come out and pray in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. They lit those on fire in front of them kids. And that was my grandma and grandpa's first day of school. My grandfather, Frank, he said the way he got his name was they had a chalkboard in the classroom. And when I heard this story, it reminded me of a book I read by Charles Dickens called Oliver Twist. And so they said, they went down the list: Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all Christian names. Now you're Francis. Well, who is his dad? His dad is Cuts the Rope. So that is now your name. Francis Cuts the Rope. So that's how my grandpa Frank got his name. He then shared with his wife Matilda later on that there was a young man named Yellow Shirt, and I think Frank said that he was a Sioux, a Lakota, and very well may have been a warrior, may have been on a raid or a scouting party at least. Maybe he had even went off to Count Coup in war. But that's not how they were treated. And Yellow Shirt demanded to be treated as a warrior. And they told them their names, and the first thing they had to learn was how to say their name in English. And this Yellow Shirt refused to say his name that was given to him from the chalkboard in the classroom. He kept on saying his name as Yellow Shirt. And so the Catholic, I believe they were Catholic brothers, were the teachers. They beat him in front of the class on a daily basis. And one day, when they were beating him, they would keep saying, "Oh, you're stupid, you're dumb." See, and they would say this to the other kids. "See, this one is dumb, this one is stupid. He can't talk. He's not learning anything. He's going to remain ignorant. He's going to remain a savage." And my grandpa Frank was about 5 years old at this time, experiencing this. So kindergarten age, watching a young man slowly being beaten down every day to death. And so anyway, as they were teaching these kids how to read and write and speak English, this is the ironic part, is that the day that Yellow Shirt died, was killed, I will say, was that these Catholic brothers were beating him, and he was quite resistant on this day. And so they called in one of the soldiers, one of the sergeants, to come and help them. So they cornered him up again, held him and beat him. And this time he didn't get up. He was laying in a pool of his own blood. That's how I was explained. There was a lot of blood. My grandpa said to my grandmother, who in turn told me this from my mom, that he was laying in a large pool of his blood. And he wouldn't get up. And so a priest came in and told him to stop and go get a stretcher and take him to the infirmary. And they were talking amongst themselves, and the priest was like, why is he like this? You know, why did you have to kill him? And they were like explaining to him, well, he wouldn't say his name. And before he died, this young man, with his bloody hand, in English, wrote on the wall where he was laying. He was laying on the floor next to the wall, below this chalkboard. And he wrote, "Yellow shirt," in English. And then he died. So I think about that. I think about 3 piles of burning braids and moccasins and personal items. I think of the first day of school for my grandfolks. I think of these. As I was in this cemetery, I looked at all the names and different tribes that are buried here. Seminole, Cherokee, Alaskan, Sioux, Cheyenne, Apache, Mission, Grovon. Those are just some of them that are in there. I think of all of our people today. And so it's an honor to be here, to be a part of this. Is it sad? Is the story tragic? You bet it is. Goddamn right it is. But it's good because we're healing. We are a resilient people. You young people prove that by being here. You're not supposed to be. You're not supposed to be here. All you Indians and your buffalo are supposed to be dead. The land liquidated. If you weren't dead, then you're supposed to be assimilated by now. Good little Americans. Good little Indians. But my grandma was one of the people that told me herself that the buffalo were gonna come back. And as a little boy, I did not believe that. As a little boy, I believed that wholeheartedly. And as I became a young man, similar to the ages of these young men that are, and this young lady that's buried here, teenager, started to quit believing those things. I didn't see the power and strength in my culture then. I started to lose faith, if you will. I started to lose hope. And then one day I was overseas and I started craving the taste of grabbing a handful of June berries from a bush and putting them all in my mouth. I started missing the taste of dry meat soup and dry meat from antelope. And then I heard that Fort Belknap was releasing buffalo. Back home, back on the prairie. And even though I swore I'd never go back to the res, I knew right then that I was going home. And I'm glad I broke that promise. I was a promise worthy of being broken. And she was right. The buffalo did come back. And they are many, in the thousands now, all around us. Buffalo all over the place. Indians all over the place. And you young people are speaking your language. I see you more at ceremonies. I see you dancing more at powwows. We're alive. And we're coming back to life even stronger. It's amazing. So yeah, repatriation. I'm also repatriating myself. And as soon as I heard that question, we want to go to Carlisle to help repatriate 3 of our people. Because of everything I just told you, because of my grandmother, because of the buffalo, because of my once upon a time lack of faith. And because now I had to step up and learn to be a warrior. If I dare to put this red feather in my hat, then I better do something about it. And I was grateful to be asked, and I jumped at the chance with an immediate yes. Thank you. Thank you for making me who I am today. Thank you for surviving as long as you did. Thank you for making it as far as you did. Because it was obviously far enough. Because we are all still here and the buffalo came back. You did it. We're going home. We're going to get you home. We're going to take you home. Us Indian people, we really are America. Every river, mountain, the prairie, the badlands, the breaks, the desert, these forests and hills. Don't matter if there's a city built over an old campground or a highway that totally takes over the old trails, the old hunting trails. And this is who we are. We are these trees. We are this air. We are this dirt. This is who we are. We're a part of this land because we are it. We are the land also, and the land is us. Iitaanɔɔn'i.
This flag being given to him and what he said upon receiving it, that he's going to fly this flag from his home with honor. It matches so well in this song that was composed for him. So I'll sing this song for him to mark this occasion and what's happened. Again, the words say, no being han in Iitsik, das beat the woo, doya at Nikits. This flag stands strong on this earth. Doya, he guards it, protects it, watches it.
My name is Jeff Steparm. I'm the president of Port Belknap Indian community, the home of the Aani and Nakota people. To me, it means that we get to bring our children home that was wrongfully taken from their families, whether it was here at Carlisle or other boarding schools across this country that were, some of them were taken against their will, you know. And to me, it's making things right for them and their families, that we finally get to bring them home, and hopefully healing those wounds that they have, that has what it caused because for them being away from home and what they had to endure at these schools, these boarding schools, mental, physical, spiritual, and probably sexual abuse too that they endured whilst they were at the schools. And then the ones that we are repatriating, you know, they died there. And they died there without their loved ones being at their side. They died there alone, and they didn't have nobody there to comfort them in their time of need. You know, they were probably lonesome, and that's what I think. How we lost all of our children at these schools was they were lonesome and lost because their family wasn't there. They were forced to be taken from their homes. And we could do it at Carlisle, we could do it at all these other boarding schools and bring our babies home to their home fires back at Port Brownlow, whether it's Hayes, Lodgepole, or the agency. You know, it's a closure for people and their families that they finally get to come home. And it's just laying this one here is just laying the groundwork for future endeavors that we're going to take to do this, whether it's our children or whether it's our artifacts that these people have that taken from our people hundreds of years ago. I felt that loss and that hurt because we had to leave one behind. And, I felt his pain that how come I can't come home? But we're going to work as hard as we can to bring him home as soon as possible so his family can have closure too. But it's going to help our people heal. And it's going to show other tribes that haven't done this yet that it's doable. We don't have to sit there and want and wish. One of them I'm taking home is a relative of mine through the Rainbow blood. My grandma on my dad's side was Rainbow, and the Rainbow's granddaughters. So her blood, same blood runs through my veins, and I wanted to be part of that for our family. I wanted to be here because I helped our Kippo, Mike Blackwolf and Emmy Filesteel get the ball rolling, you know, and I was the one that signed the documents to claim our children. If I didn't sign those documents last year when we was here, we'd have been on a waiting list till 2025 or 2026 to come over and take our babies home. So I made that decision last year to sign for them, which allowed us to come here this year to take them home. So I came here to fight to bring Solomon home and the honor to be there to represent the Aani people as the president of Port Brownlow to do this for them, for the people back home. Well, the people of today that helped us, I do, because they were very compassionate on how they treated us. They were very compassionate on how they removed the remains of our loved ones. But the people that took them over 100 years ago, I will never forgive them. As I think about how they were treated, and they say they weren't treated bad, but for that guy that ran that school, that Pratt fella, that coined that phrase, you know, kill the Indian to save the man, that tells you how he felt about us Native Americans, you know. And I say this when I speak in DC or speak to other people, that the United States of America still thinks Native Americans are second-class citizens. They think that we're below them. And they seem to forget that this whole country was our land at one time, and they forcibly took it from us. So I will never forgive that, ever. How strong they were, how resilient they were, and that was taken from them because they thought we didn't belong here. They thought we were second-class citizens, like I said, not even citizens of this country, you know, and I will always stand up and fight, you know, for our people, you know, and I will fight the BIA, Bureau of Indian Affairs, who's supposed to be there to take care of our people, but they still steal from us. And what's so frustrating about that is the people that work for the Indian Health Service or the Bureau of Indian Affairs are tribal members that treat us like that. You know, that's what's so frustrating. I can't understand why they do that to us. I feel very slighted on how our children were taken and how they were treated. And in my eyes, even though they say through their forensic studies of their remains over here, what they did is they said that they died of tuberculosis. In my eyes, they were murdered because they were forcibly taken from their homes back home and brought here. That's what killed them. It's just hard to think about, you know, when we were sitting over there and we was talking about Solomon Brown that we're leaving. That's what I was feeling like, you know. I felt guilty and hurt because, you know, we couldn't bring him home, and I felt his pain. You know, like I said, he was standing over there by himself. How come not me? How come I have to stay? And I know the Army can do something because we're supposed to be the powerfulest country in this world. Why can't we take our baby home? And they're telling us no. And they're looking at maybe, if you don't try to push this, they're looking at 8, 9, 10 years down the road. And that's BS. And I don't agree with that. And that's why I told them I want it done within a year or two at the latest to bring Solomon home. Don't stop fighting for your people. Speak up. Because if we don't say something, we don't fight for what is rightfully ours, they're going to continue to kick us down a road and think we're nothing. But if we stand up and fight like our ancestors used to do and show them what we're made of, and in their eyes, you know, well, we're nothing. My best advice for you all is to educate yourselves on our laws, educate yourself on your past and your histories, your ancestors, and use that to stand up and fight for what is rightfully ours. Because if we don't, then they're going to continue to walk all over us, and I don't want that to happen in the future. And you all, you students here, what you're learning, I see that in you. That's what you're going to do as you grow up as our future leaders. You're going to be doing that for us. You're going to be sitting where I'm sitting at. You're going to be ones going to DC and telling those people, that's my people I'm speaking for. I'm here to fight for them. Because if I don't, nobody else will. That's what I see in you all. And you're learning a good thing here. What we did this past week and on our way home. You learn how to speak up and you learn how to fight. But I want you to all to educate yourself on what we have in front of us and what we have behind us, our ancestors and what they did and how strong they are. Because that's what the same blood's running through your veins. Our warriors and our leaders, our past chiefs back in the day still run through your all veins, and you're going to stand up and fight. That's all I want them to do, you all to do in the future, is never back down. Stand your ground and speak up no matter what you have to say or how you say it, but they need to hear it.
Iitaanɔɔn'i.
My name is Michael Blackwolf. I'm the Tribal Historic Preservation Officer for the tribes at Fort Belknap. Bring our people home on one hand, where it's actually physically, doing the physical act of it, or also it's like bringing something back such as a ceremony or a language or, something along those lines. So. And I've said this multiple times over the past year and several months when we began this process, that what we are doing here this week, what we have done here this week, is historic. We often times think about our everyday lives as kind of mundane, and we think about history or historic as those impactful events that happen that we learn about, in school or history classes, and it's like, something that's significant happened, and we don't think that we're living, those kind of things. But today, and this past week, and this coming week are definitely historic events, and I think that 100 years from now, our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, all of our descendants, whether, they're our relatives or not, whether they're tribal descendants, will look back on this time and, they'll say, wow, our ancestors, they did something amazing. It'll be something that they can look at proudly and say, that was one of the turning points in our tribe's history in reclaiming our identity. It feels good, it feels really good to know that we're bringing our children back and that we are allowing ourselves to be able to heal as a people because of the past atrocities and traumas that have been inflicted upon our people. We're able to start dealing with them now, and based on various tribal cultural beliefs, it's important to us to know that we're able to bring our children home and lay them to rest, in the place where they should have been laid to rest in the first place. That's a tough one. I have a lot of issues. I don't blame individual people. I don't hold grudges against individual people. I don't hold grudges against all the amazing people that we work with, from the Office of Army Cemeteries, the Army Corps of Engineers, and just the people in general. They're the people that we work with and are working with are not the 7th Cavalry, so to speak. They're not the blue coats who came and attacked our children and our wives and our mothers, our grandmothers, and our elders, and the babies. Even though they are of that same military, at different times, different places, and so. But there's certain things that I don't forgive. I know we're supposed to forgive things, but there's some things that I can't. And those that have met with me in person and talked about different things specifically in regards to the Catholic Church, I don't have nothing, absolutely nothing against people, freedom of religion. If you're a practicing Catholic, that's fine, and I'm not gonna come and persecute you or put you down or anything like that. That's if that's what you do and you're comfortable, then that's your prerogative and that's your choice. What I have an issue with is what the Catholic Church stood for, stands for, and what they've done for our people. And for me, that's unforgivable. I can't forgive an organization, an entity that actively took our language and our customs and our traditions, and so that for me, that's unforgivable. And I know that this was one of our cultural beliefs as Iitaanɔɔn'i. It was when we put loved ones away, we don't bother them, and we don't go around their graves. Their graves become holy places, sacred places, and those are not to be bothered and messed with. And so I know that I see a lot of people in modern times where they go on Memorial Day, they go to their loved ones and they clean up their graves and they put flowers and stuff. That's not a traditional custom for us as Iitaanɔɔn'i. Where we lay our loved ones to rest, that's their final spot, and we don't bother them. I was told this, there's nothing we can do for them once they are gone. We only self-torture ourselves when we go there year after year after year. They're in a better place. They're in a far better place than we will ever be as long as we're alive. We will be joining them at some point, but there's these extenuating circumstances where our children were taken and they were forced, to go places and to live places and die by means that they probably wouldn't have died if they were to stay home. So again, the greater society that we live in forces another thing upon us, an unnatural thing, an unnatural act on us to have to do these things of going and getting our loved ones and taking them home. And so I'm of two sides, where personal beliefs of mine aside, in order for us to go and bring our loved ones back, which, again, don't get me wrong, this is an absolute amazing, absolutely necessary thing that we had to do, and I'm absolutely proud of us for doing what we did here this past week and what we're going to continue to do this coming week. I would say I'm sorry it took us this long to come and get you, and that to forgive us for taking this long, and that there were times and places where we weren't allowed to legally to come and get them. But as soon as we were in a position to come and get them, to come and get you, we did it. And I would apologize to them for us taking so long to bring them home. And I would ask for their understanding and their forgiveness, and that we are doing our best, and that we did our best, and in the end we accomplished our goals of coming to get them and take them home. If this is being looked at 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 60 years from now, what I personally think, I hope I'm seeing, is that we have the freedom now as Iitaanɔɔn'i and Nakota people to really re-embrace our ways, to embrace our ceremonies without being forced to do things that we didn't want to do. And so hopefully those who are looking at this, 20 years, 40 years, 60 years from now, when they look at it, my hope is that they are on that path that we are trying to set for them to recapture and to regain and to reclaim our customs, our language, our ceremonies, our ways of life. And that I hope that I'm right, that 60 years from now we have fluent Iitaanɔɔn'i and fluent Nakota speakers, and they're comfortable and they're proud of their ceremonies, of their culture and their language and their ways of life, and that they can look back at this point in time and say, those ancestors, our grandparents right there, they were a tipping point in our reclamation of our ways and our language.
My name is Crystal Holly Fox. I'm from Hayes, Montana. We're in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, boarding school that our children from the middle 18, I don't know, the 18 something, they send our kids over here to kill the Indian, save the man. We've had some children pass away here, and we're in the process of bringing their remains home to their homelands. Their people, their homelands, I'm sure. You know, I've been thinking about it. You know, I believe these children died of a broken heart. And, you know, records say otherwise, they got sick. Well, when you have a broken heart, your immunity system shuts down. And I think in the end, it all had to do with the broken heart. They were far away from home, from family. They were just children. They needed their mothers, their grandmothers, their family, and to come to a strange land and dress in white man's clothes, go to the white man's school, learn how to talk their language, and not allowed to speak their own language or practice their own ways. Everything was stripped away from them, and as a mother, I cannot fully comprehend how the government was so cruel. Go through all this, it's not a simple task. It's a lot of tedious physical work, a lot of tedious paperwork, but we're bringing them home because they're our children and we love them, and they deserve to be in their homeland. I'm not really sure, but I've known they brought people home before, and I always thought it was nice, but I never really got into the details of it. But when I heard about these 3 children, something just kind of stabbed me in the heart, and my heart felt really heavy. And every time I'd talk about them or think about them, I would get goosebumps, and my heart would instantly get heavy. And I remember I was thinking about these children not having a proper burial from our culture, a song, you know, to send them on their journey. Nobody probably fed them. But I always remember my dad telling me, when you get ready to go to the other side, make sure you have your moccasins. So I thought I could contribute somehow, you know, and so I won this piece of buckskin. I won it and they mailed it to me from South Dakota, and I never even looked at it. I just, when it came in the mail, I just put it in my closet, never opened the box. And when I decided, you know, I should try to get them some moccasins made, they need those moccasins. And so I finally found someone who would do the work. So I was getting ready to take her the buckskin. I took it out of the box and it was the most beautiful buckskin I've ever seen. No holes, just smooth, so super buttery, silky soft. No holes in it all, no thick spots, no thin spot. It was like perfect, so beautiful. And so after seeing that, I thought, you know, this was meant to be. It was meant to be, because when I get packages, you know, in the mail, I rip them open, you know, but for some reason, I couldn't open that box. You know? And when I finally did, I really felt that it was a meant to be thing, you know. And so I had this, Annie Shields made the moccasins, and she did a beautiful job. And Annie has a beautiful soul, and when people are beautiful, you could tell in their work, you know. And she did an excellent job. And so anyway, I told Emmy that I have moccasins for them, and I'm going to send them with you, so you could take them and put them with them, you know. And next thing you know, I'm getting a phone call and asking me if I'd go, and I just said yes, not really thinking about it. Filled out the proper military forms, what have you. And then it got closer, and I started getting a little bit nervous because I didn't know what to expect. I'm not a crier, and I haven't cried for many years. And I was afraid that I'd start crying and I couldn't stop. But of course that didn't happen. But I did, while we were here in the process, I did shed tears, thinking about the sadness. And today I shed tears. But they were joyful because kids are going home, and it should be a joyful time. Finally going home. And as a mother, you know, that's, I don't know, maybe my motherly instinct's coming out, you know. And we just come out of the cemetery, and sadness come over me because I want to take all of them home. I'm trying to learn how to forgive. I'm not there yet, but as a person facing my winter years, I don't want to carry anybody's hate or grudges. I don't want that on my shoulders anymore. I want to be free. I want to be free from that. And And it's we're not the only people that, I look at all of this as just like the Holocaust, and it is a Holocaust. And they committed some horrid crimes, and I really believe that it's not my place to judge, it's the Creator's place to judge. But I do know that I don't want to carry that on my shoulders anymore. I tell them that they're loved and they're taken home. The staff here has been really accommodating, sensitive to our culture, and they go above and beyond. And I've been talking to some of them, and they are experts in their field. We're educated now. We're educated, and you protect your babies. Let's not let this happen again. Protect your babies with all your might. I don't think this will happen again, because we went to school and we learned their game, and we could beat them at their game.
Hey, nanisip dotsik one who iitaanɔɔn'i then. Yeah, on and then hita. Hey, no, I no hata. They no needs it to eat that, no. Hey. Her name is Randall Work from Hayes. My folks are Greg and Shannon. Member of Fort Bellamy and Community Council. Represent the Iitaanɔɔn'i people. I guess framed within the context of what we're doing.
means taking our people home. Doing it in the way that we treat our people still today, try to be respectful of the nature of the things that we're doing. Treat them like we knew them all our lives, because their blood somehow or another is pumping through our veins too. Further, as far as artifacts and things of that nature, I think, as you guys probably experienced, being able to participate and interact with such vibrant things like that, it's all our people could benefit from something like that if it was a little bit closer. I see the way Mike lit up when he's holding his grandpa's shield and his staff. That was there's a lot more things there, and a lot more people back home could probably relate to them types of things in a similar way. And I think that would bode well for healing for our people. But this kind here with the people themselves is a little bit different. It's on a different level, I think. I want to hear this lady talk about things like talking about her homeland. I think her name was at Coming Daylight, just in some notes that I come across, and she says, one of my grandparents was born here, by the Belly River up in Canada, and they passed away over here. And another one of my grandparents passed away by the Chief Mountain when we were camped there. Another was down by the Yellowstone River when we camped there. And that was in her memory, She says, I feel like I'm surrounded by my people, and I know when I'm home. And I can't wait for that for these ones that we come to help go back, so that they could be there and maybe help us from a little bit closer, maybe say some prayers for us, things like that. I think what you guys are doing, along with, if there's any songs or any stories that come out of this, you'll carry with our people for a long time. You guys are documenting in a newer way, but I think this is a big part of history. Maybe the first step. You heard Jeff talk about yesterday. Maybe he wants to go look other places for our people and make sure we could bring more of them back in a similar way. And along with those other types of things, because our people are taught to be that way, not to hold on to things that can come and go. So that's why I'm not too worried about those other types of things for our people. They're different, more important. Bigger picture, this is all the earth. It's our grandmother, they say. They say, when things are hard for us, she's kind of the first one to embrace us, and pity us, take care of us. She offers so much to us, and everything anybody needs to live comes from right here, comes from right there. So I really respect that these people working here take good care of them, and 100 years down the road, 200 years, whatever, I want our people to know that when this happened, it was done with kindness and respect, you know. That's what I've seen anyway. Just the way they handle things so delicately, and I think everybody realizes the magnitude of it. It's a big thing. I didn't want to be, to be honest. I knew it was going to be a difficult thing, a hard thing. Part of it is, you know, being an elected official. There's some responsibility with that, you know. Another part of it is, you know, this young lady that's here, she's our relative, direct by blood. I think they're all our relatives, but that was a big factor. And I don't know, like I really spend a lot of time like trying to understand why things are the way they are at home. And from every different angle, like socially, you know, the things that we have still going spiritually, legally, historically, what were the events that took place to get us where we are today. And I think this is all a part of that. I just feel very, very fortunate to be able to bear witness to some of it, you know, help in whatever little way I probably could. That's about all, I think. I think forgiveness is a thing we do for ourselves, to kind of release ourselves from burdens that maybe aren't ours to carry. Maybe somebody else even did something to us directly, but those are their own choices, you know, things of that nature. And you know, if we initially get hurt or initially whatever, get happy, whatever, we get to choose how we feel about things after the fact.
Oh, here it
you know? So that's something.
Randall, my head shots. Don't hold.
These men are calling me. I better go, huh?
Catcher, in honor of your service to our great nation, I have my command gun. This is Arlington National Cemetery, and if you go here and as we lay our future for us, so thank you.
Hi everybody, good morning. I want to thank everybody for coming here today. I'll introduce who I am. My name is Jeff Stipar, President of the People, Fort Valnut, Montana. My real name was given to me in ceremony. It's a storm coming at you. Ani name. The name that was given to me was Holy Eagle Spirit Man that was given in ceremony. I wanted to say a few words on behalf of our people back at Fort Valnut. Eagerly awaiting the return of their relatives. It's been here for a long time. It's a great honor to have the privilege to be able to bring them home. But not just me and my efforts. It's a team effort spearheaded by our two TIPO people, Michael Blackwolf and me Bilesteel, that spearheaded this. And we still have heavy hearts today as it leaving one of our relatives here. It's really hard to leave him behind. But what I see going through my mind, and I was telling our team last night that they had a hard time when they first came here, taken from their moms, their dads, brothers and sisters from Fort Bellet, and they were brought here. They went through that process of building and showing them what they did to them. They died here without their family being by their side. And when I pictured in my mind and I was thinking about that, take home our relatives here, Solomon standing there. How come not me? How come you're leaving me? How come I can't go home too? So it's really hard. We have to do this. So my biggest wish for you all, for the U.S. military, is to expedite this process so we can bring Solomon home. You know, his family wants him home. And our belief when we pass on to the other side that they become grandmas and grandpas. That's what we have in front of us right here, our grandmas and grandpas that we're going to take us home on our journey. Pray that we have clear roads, good weather, we have no hiccups, that we get them home in time for our ceremony that they're waiting for us back home. And I want to thank our two spiritual leaders that spearheaded our efforts and do our ceremonies here. My uncle, Arapaho Rider, Howard Gone. Howard, stand up for a second, so you know. My brother, John. We call him John back home. My brother. He's a lodge man. He puts up our Sundance lodges. The most important sacrifice that we do in ceremonies. He does that for us back home. He graced us with his presence to help with their ceremonies and we stand up around it. So people can acknowledge you too for what you have done for our grandma and grandpas that we have here. Our grandpa that we have to leave behind, Solomon. But thank you for what you did in the sacrifice. The time to wait for your own families back home. The things that you do to take care of our people back home. Travel with us to take care of us. As we did this, but more important, to take care of our grandfathers and our grandmother that is here. We also have part of our entourage is two of our Iitaanɔɔn'i leaders, our council members, around the work, who's a close relative of mine, Cecilia Shortman, another close relative of mine. They're council members and our travel leaders, our chiefs back home. We came here to honor and respect this process to bring these children home to our family. And they're eagerly awaiting our return. Half of us are driving home following our relatives. So that's what I ask you guys, including your prayers throughout this next week as you travel home with them. I just want to say, you know, it was a long process. And I said again before, it wasn't done by me. This wasn't done by me. I signed the documents to get it going. But the two that has the most important roles here in this is Michael and Emmy. And I really want to thank you for what you're doing. And I hope and pray that you work with these other tribes that have unknowns. So we don't have to wait 10 years to bring Solomon home. We can wait maybe a year, 2 at the most is my prayers. And I know you can do it. You have it in you. And what I like about you two is that you don't let your minds do your work, you let your hearts do your work. That's the best part of what I enjoy working with you two. And, that's how we work together as our team. You know, we speak from our hearts. We speak or let our grandfathers and grandmothers tell us to speak about it. Share our words with you. You know, and what was very admirable and still very admirable is what we have on our team. You know, what I think is one of the most important people of our team. And I know a lot of you met him. He wears that red feather for a reason. Catch your guts to roll. He was wounded in war. He went to 2 services. He went to the Army. And he went to the Marines. He was injured in battle. Stand up, picture. You know. I really look up to this man. In my eyes, he's my hero. But I guess enough of my little talk. I'd like to invite my 2 leaders that traveled with me to say a few words to you all. But I want to thank every one of you for taking care of our grandfathers and grandmothers. I've seen the compassion in your work. When you took them out of the ground, how you did that. Took the time. How you cared for them. Every one of you felt that. We all saw that. We all talked about how you guys cared about the children. I really want to thank you all for that. What you did. And that, to me, that shows you care. Not only for our loved ones here, but you care about us as we came here to take them home. That showed us that. I really want to thank you all for that.
Yeah, President Stiffarm, huh? Niece goes to the one who played off the market. Iitaanɔɔn'i now sides need to even knit that in time. He got out. Niece jockey on it's just like parody words of our chief, Jeff. Gay now. A worker and a helper. I'm grateful to you guys. So try to do that. Here today we have Iitaanɔɔn'i and Iitaanɔɔn'i and Acha. Good people here. Watched you all do things in a way that put you pretty high up in my book. The way you move. Folks here. This work can't be easy, you know. For our people. I think this is like a marked time. Noted. Glad we have these young people here to see this. Try to capture some of it. soldiers, we have warriors, we have men who help our people, and women who help our people when we need help. And, you guys are all a part of that. We're all need first for human beings. Cut us, we leave. Huh? We're all the same that way. I don't say this too much, I guess, but maybe thought that I'll be all. Couldn't hey and this
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Blackwolf, I'm the Tribal Historic Preservation Officer for Fort Belknap Indian Community. Enrolled member of the Gros-Ventre tribe. It's an honor to be here today. It was an honor to be here this week, to be with all of you folks, to be with my people here today, to do this important thing, this historic thing. Many years from now, generations from now, you're all going to have children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. They'll look back on this day, and this day is going to be extremely important and a historic day for all of us. So I want to invite all of you just to take a few seconds to realize just how important this day is. And each and every one of you here today are an extremely important part of what's going on. All of you that are here today was meant to be here. It's no coincidence that you guys are just sitting here. Every single one of us were meant to be here today. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank each and every one of you. My tribal representatives, our spiritual leaders, our tribal leaders, our tribal representatives, our tribal youth, our spouses, our relatives, and all of you that represent the Office of Army Cemeteries. And I don't like saying this, but Army Corps of Engineers. That's an inside joke for me because for the past 10 years, when I go to consultation, the most pushback and just not wanting to do anything with tribes is the Army Corps of Engineers. I don't know why. But anyway, but irregardless, thank all of you guys. And I don't know if there has been a tribe that has done this for you guys, all of you who represent the military. And it may be a little too late to fit it into your schedule, but we want to extend an official invitation to a representative from you folks to come to Montana this coming week to attend our wake and our funeral services for our loved ones here. It would be a nice gesture to see closure from you folks' side, because you guys just leave them up, get them ready, and send them on their way. It would be nice if someone from your organization, your representatives, however you call yourselves, it would be nice if someone could honor that request. We would like to see someone present from your Office of Army Cemeteries, or Army Corps, or the military themselves, to come and see what we do once we get home. And we understand if that's too short of a notice, but at the same time, we want you to all know that offer of invitation is there. Perhaps the two most important groups of people I want to thank here are last. It's not because they're least important, it's because they're the most important. I want to thank the leader of our Crazy Dog Society, Mr. Catcher Custero. I want to thank our two spiritual leaders, Howard Kahn and John Stickmore. This would not have been possible without these three gentlemen. It would not have been possible without these gentlemen. And I really, really appreciate and love you guys for being here and bearing the load for our people back home, bearing the load for us. It doesn't go unnoticed. It doesn't go unappreciated. And I thank you all. And I look forward to, it's a somber day, but I look forward to the finality of this when we get them home, they're reinterred, and we send them back on their way. It'll be good for us, it'll be good for you folks, it'll be good for everybody that we know that they're in the final resting place they're supposed to be at. With that, I want to thank you all.
Good morning, everybody. It's me, Big. My name is Pretty Woman Iitaanɔɔn'i. I just want to thank you guys for extending. In June of 23, it's been a long process, a very humbling process to be able to do this. And I think, like what Michael said, that I am thankful to everyone that's been a part of this, and we're all meant to be here, everyone that came. This is hard work, and it's hard on our people to do this, but it's needed to be done, and this ain't the end. There's lots of things, processes that we have to go through to be able to repatriate our people, our items that are sitting in museums, educational institutions. But we're going to get it done. I don't honestly think it's going to be done in our lifetime. So we have to teach our children, and I'm glad our youth get to be here and witness this and be a part of this. But I'd like to especially thank Meredith. Meredith and I and Michael work closely together to make sure everything ran smooth. And for us, this was a learning process also. We've never had the chance to be able to come get our children, and this is the very first boarding school. Carlisle Industrial Indian School is the first boarding school. So I just want to thank everybody that came and that was here, that supported us, our spiritual leaders. We had a lot of support from our president, Mr. Stiffar. So I want to thank Randy and Bob for coming with us. But thank you guys.
Hey, time. I'm grateful to have been asked to come on this mission, this journey. It was very healing for me personally. I'm grateful for our leadership. You've truly shown your ability to be an Akya. Grateful to our spiritual leaders to be able to keep everything going in a good way, holding us. Thank you to our women, our ladies that helped in every way, in every single way. And today, to be painted, to be able to take care of our loved ones here. Especially want to acknowledge these dirt ninjas. These folks that are scientists and archaeologists, yet their hands are like artists and healers. All the way from the backhoe to that fine brush. I was thoroughly impressed with that. The reason why is because I've seen and done horrible things to the human being. So I've seen the opposite of this, how we're treating our relatives. Thank you to my comrades in arms for being here with us. Thank you for honoring our colors, our flag, and keeping it safe. I will continue to do that and fly it with honor. Grateful now finally to our children. Kini Heian for being here, traveling all this way and all this way back.
I'd just like to thank everybody for their hospitality. I'd like to thank you, and it's really emotional for me. And I was okay until this morning. It really hit me. I had a dream about this, and I didn't know what to think of it. I walked over here when I first got here, and that was what I had a dream of. I seen all these people, and what really hit me was the unknown. And I thought, why can't we bring them all home? But we couldn't, we can't, but maybe one day we will. And I'd like to thank my nephew, Jeff Farm, for allowing me to come here, and Mike, Kitcher, John, Howard, me. I want to thank you guys. And I really appreciate the way you guys really was really good to us. You made sure we were comfortable, and I pray that you all have a safe trip home wherever you're going. And I just want to thank you.
You're significantly older than me.
Come on, birthday boy, stand up.
He always claims what I say. That's why I want him to go first. Well, hey, Iitaanɔɔn'i. Iitaanɔɔn'i nen. No, hitha tsot sikta sahanat. He say no was jahu. The bishop sahanat. He that day. No, Iitaanɔɔn'i in the Dawson. Get the no way. Only Iitaanɔɔn'i nen. When it's a say that's beat the root. It's not the beno huno. Oh, who for 50? Who see for 50 done? On that not staying at the doing that. Need for 15. The chutney need for 15 and 15 East Georgia. On an Iitaanɔɔn'i, they got to go with that. What they're not at that. No, done, not spawn it and thoughts near heat done. On heat done. So not now. Maybe it's all now. Me all one. The morning. No, not your cunning then. He eats it. No, it's sea hats. Me all. Snake here. On that chat. Back there, not the gates at spawn then. That's chat. Those one who. Not chat. Not chat. On the nanets. Now he. The nanets not chat that. Not they on heat that. They are anarchy. Oh. And he thought. In Duskies and he said, no, it's Nick Day. That day. They are. That big it thought. But peanuts and save. In their hand now. It's kind of along those lines with those words that I greet everyone. That after saying that, I'll say my name. Nanisa Bay was John Stiffarm Nahasin. Because who I mentioned was my family. family that makes up who I am. I said only half of my prayer is said without my wife here, Nancy. Nancy, go ahead. Go ahead. This is the other half of my prayer. She's, whenever we make ceremony, whether she's sitting by me in that circle or back a ways, she's still praying. And I'm really grateful that she was able to come. And my children, I said 2 of them came with us. One is back home. She's a senior in high school. She couldn't miss school, so she stayed. I'm really grateful for the family that were able to come to support and assist in any way that we could. I mentioned when we were coming that you heard our warriors and our men and our women, they were making the sound of yeets. It's war whooping. Ladies were rattling their tongues. That's our way of acknowledging something great that is happening. And a lot of people back home will say during funerals, oh, we shouldn't do that. But on a time such as this is a good thing. We acknowledge what's happening. Our relatives are going home. That is something to acknowledge and celebrate. Our relatives in the smudge today, we smudge. And if I say anything that offends anyone, that's not my intention. But in times like this, in times momentous times, historic times, everything needs to be acknowledged. I'm sure grateful for all the workers and ones that have assisted and helped. Your hospitality and kindness is second to none. Your friendship is appreciated. I want to share with you a story back home. There was a boarding school that was older than this one, but it was operated by the Catholic Church. Before our reservation even came to be, they built a Catholic church and a boarding school. Where our reservation was going to be, it makes you think that they have that planned, probably. And at that school called St. Paul's Mission in Hayes, Montana, horrible things happened, much as what happened here to our children. I became friends with one of the good men that worked at that church. His name was Joseph Retzel, Father Joseph Retzel. Good man. He came and sat with us in our ceremonies, in our sweat lodges, in our sundance ceremonies, because we invited him to do that. He honored that. One day we were talking about the things that were happening with the church and with St. Paul's Mission Church and boarding school. And I looked at him, I said, Joseph, because that's what he asked me to call him. I'd always call him Father, just call me Joseph. I said, okay. I said, maybe in some way you and your church, the Jesuit order, can fund the revitalization of our language, Iitaanɔɔn'i language, so that our children can learn. I mentioned that to him in a good way. He agreed with me. He said, John, he says, what my predecessors did, some horrible things. He says, I'll see what I can do. I'm only, like you say, a worker, he said. Of course, it hasn't been done. That's okay. We're moving forward with preserving and revitalizing our language so that our young people be able to speak, so that all our people speak. And until you've been in that situation, you will have no idea. There's a linguist from University of Colorado that told me, he says, Iitaanɔɔn'i language. When you hear me say Iitaanɔɔn'i, that's what we call ourselves. The government calls us Roman. We call ourselves in our language Iitaanɔɔn'i, Iitaanɔɔn'i, men, Iitaanɔɔn'i. That when you hear those words, we're referring to our people. He He said that your language is dead. You're not going to revitalize it. I said, to you it's dead. To me and my people, we're going to fight to preserve this. That is so difficult. In Fort Belknap Reservation, north central Montana, you want to see Iitaanɔɔn'i, you want to see a white clay Indian, you want to see a Growan Indian, that is where you'll go. Nowhere else in the world. Our relatives that we share the reservation with, as President Stifffarm said, the Assiniboine, as the government calls them, they call themselves Nakota. There are many Nakota on the Fort Peck Reservation, in the town of Fraser, Oswego, Wolf Point, into Canada at White Bear Reserve, Pheasants Rump Reserve, Ocean Man Reserve, Chegawakan Reserve, Mosquito Reserve, Nakota. They banded together to share their language and preserve it as a group. I like it for them. For Iitaanɔɔn'i, one place. We don't have a neighboring tribe. They said a beautiful story. The closest tribe to us is Iitaanɔɔn'i, the Arapaho, Northern Arapaho, Wyoming, Southern Arapaho, and Oklahoma. But even them, we've been apart for so many years. Our languages, our dialects of one another. We're building that bridge because them too are losing language speakers. They said we need to come together to preserve what we have. So when we're trying to preserve our language, you can understand the difficulties that we face. Many people said, teach the young people. The future will be safe if the young people learn. But you know what? We've been trying to do that for years, and it hasn't happened. You know why? Brother Howard Iitaanɔɔn'i, when he speaks in his ceremonies, he acknowledges the 4 stages of life. He acknowledges the infant, the child, adolescent, the adult, and the elderly. We're just teaching the children that circle is not complete. The teenage need to learn it. The adult need to learn it. The elderly need to learn it. Then you see what I'm saying? So when we come here to a place such as this, their goal, what was the saying? Kill the Indian, save the man. We're here. Eat, tsitsiats, in the gan, eat out, nuitsi. We're singing. We're making the sounds of our people. We're speaking our language to acknowledge mission not accomplished. We appreciate the gestures and the kindness. Long overdue, yet better late than never. As we go home with our relatives, with one that's still here, we will think of you. As one elder back home says, forgive but not forgotten. I'm a school teacher. Whenever we start our class, we start about the boarding school experience. We begin with that because that's why I'm even in the schools, struggling, doing the best I can to teach language and culture to our young people. That's the very reason why I'm there, that struggle. And it gets difficult. We're here, bring our relatives home. We're talking about putting the items inside the box here. You put some of that dirt, no, leave that dirt here. They're going to their homelands. That's the dirt that we need to worry about. They get to go home. Their names, Iitaanɔɔn'i, heavy hair. Beautiful name, right? Ikitnaku, sleeps above. Geotsin, then dwarf, as it's loosely translated. Not forgetting that Solomon, we'll find the name, the real name, or people say Indian name, their real name. We'll find that. Address them in that way. It is a good day, so when you hear people war whooping and rattling their tongue, it's because of that. This time. Not celebrating death. We're not celebrating them dying. We're celebrating them going home. We're celebrating that we're still here in 2024. White clay people, we're still on this earth. Well, people don't snick that in the thought that's people who Indian people are still on this earth. The United States government didn't want that. Yesterday, the day before, something happened. Feelings were hurt, but everything was made good. As a token of support, I guess as a way of making amends, the United States flag was offered. A gentleman, upstanding soldier. I'm going to say his name now. That's his name from this day forward. That was given to him. Gifts were given to him. Relations were made with him. Nakakane wa te nitsik na nikta. Nakakane wa te nitsik na nikta. Nakakane wa te nitsik na nikta. Warrior that stands before the people. That is his name. What happened and how it happened, it couldn't have happened any other way. That flag was captured with the song that was sung, with the motions that were made. That flag was captured, and only in that way it can be flown atop our lodge. Neem, English they call it teepee. In our language, neem. But understand, it wasn't to demean that warrior. Where it happened was at the doorway of the cemetery. And you imagine all those children that in those days, those headstones are saying 1890. Imagine the abuse that they experienced. Verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. Let's not hide what happened. The dungeons that they show on their tours of where they were imprisoned, children. Maybe brought them some peace. Maybe brought them healing. I feel good. That big relatives, this experience coming here has been so difficult. Words can't express. We're staying close to Ijaw, to that smudge, to help us through this. Still a journey yet. When they go back home, there's a whole other ceremony that's going to take place when they get to our homeland. When they're welcomed home. I'm grateful to Brother Iitaanɔɔn'i named.
'Cause 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 'c
bat that knocked dead that squaw and then for all their help and what they've done. That not stay night doing that. Say nothing. See your Indian name. Joyce. That's your partner there. You work in that same way. Thank you. These songs that have been sung and that are going to be sung, old songs. I looked at that headstone, 1890. We had to think back, way back, to honor them in their time period of when they were on this earth. We still have those songs today. Carlisle Boarding School didn't want that. We still have them today, those songs. The ability to sing. We're singing them for them. We're gonna, one of the Nito Hutnitsatse, the whistle keeper of the kettle dance ceremony, showed here today. He's going to utilize that, and a song from that ceremony will be utilized towards the end of the ceremony. That's one of our ceremonies, a long time. Much like our relatives, that ceremony came back to our people. They were lost, but we found them. Just like they were lost, but we found them. So it's like they said, it's been an eventful time. They always say that relatives, after all is said, you share laughter with people. Because sometimes that's what gets us through the most difficult of times. This relative here knocking that chest said, you cut us, we'll bleed red, you know. In the end, we're all Nickdan people. Well, that's my sign to stop. Well, I said that's the way it is. I stand by what I said. May it be that way for our children.
Kind of sorry now. But it's really his birthday, I'm not gonna lie about it. You think about this. My teachers, my dad, Fred Gone, Jr., Uncle Preston Stiffarm, and my teachers, they talked about this life and death. Today, soon, we're going to take home our children, our grandfather and grandmother, like that. That's what we talk about at home. What my brother talked about, we try to teach our children about these ways that we have. It's hard, but we can't run from it. It's going to happen to every one of us, no matter how young or how old we are. This is part of the Creator's law, not ours. He knows when we come on this earth, He knows when we can leave this earth. So we talk about that to our children, as small as they are, because they have to try to get ready the best way they can. But even then, when you think they have it all together, when that happens, it knocks you down to Mother Earth. And that's the hardest thing to get up from, because your heart, your body, your soul is down here with them, because you don't want them to leave us. These words I'm talking about my teachers at home, but they're not here today. They taught me a lot of good things about our ways that came from home. No other country, just from what my brother talked about. Iitaanɔɔn'i home. I'm lucky. I had spiritual people in our home, elders, to teach me about our home, what we had to do. When I started on this red road of life, my dad, Fred, he said his father, which was my grandpa, Fred Sr., told him to go home, and there's a young man back there that needs to know this, because our people at home are pitiful. They don't know nothing. They don't have nothing. And he meant from our hometown, our Furcap mounts, we call them, where we put these beautiful babies here and these beautiful elders here. So we talk about those things because we need to know these things, especially our children. They need to know where they come from, even though they were lost. We talk about it. There's no blame in this world whatsoever when you have that direct line with the Creator and His spirits. You want to blame anybody, you blame yourself. And even our elders back in the days. They couldn't stop it, but they tried. Some of our elders lost their lives trying to stop it. There's one here today. We talk about some of these things to our older ones, so they could tell our children where we lost some of our babies here. We try to tell our people that, especially from when they're old enough to understand, they're really intelligent, these babies. And that's why when they asked me here that what we can do, my first words were bringing these young women out here, these old women out here, to do what they have to do to these children here. Because they bring life into this world. That's why I said that. That was my teaching that I was taught from my two spiritual people that are in here that are in the spirit world. I prayed to them. I even prayed to my son, Ennett Dunny, to come and get these babies. He left me 2 children, 2 grandchildren, a son and a daughter, granddaughter. I haven't seen them for 24 years, going on 25 years since they were babies. My grandson, big tall fellow. My granddaughter's about that tall. I haven't seen him, but the pictures I have. So it's a big loss what we're talking about here. I know what some of these people are feeling right now, what I'm talking about. I haven't seen my grandchildren, my firstborn grandchildren, me and my companion. I like what my brother talked about, acknowledge his family. My wife was invited, and myself, to come here to do this. I knew she was sick, but she forced me to come here. I wasn't going to come, to be honest with you folks. I go, honest. But I'm glad she pushed me forward. She said, they need you down there. Our people need you down there. I didn't understand what was going on at that time until we got here. I started putting two together. So I'm grateful and thankful for you folks, Chair, for asking me to come here. Asking us to come here like that in a good way. To guide me this way for good reason, I didn't know. To be honest, I didn't know. But I'm glad I was hitting here, what my brother talked about in that cemetery. I sat there with those babies as long as I can. Grandfather and grandmother. That was my teaching. You never leave. Texture was talking about all through this, listening to this. I'm glad my nephew listened. A little bit stories we told in our sweat lodges. Ceremonies, different ceremonies. Glad he paid attention to that. Glad that we're all learning something new here today. This ain't about what we can do here or whatever. My brother even said it. The magical word was that smudge. My son, he came in his mother's steps. Came on behalf of his mom. This is my baby boy here. I'm grateful for that. My nephew Jeff asked me to come. I'm grateful for that. But again, I didn't know what I was getting into. Someone would say, where are you anxious to go? I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what's going to go on. I didn't really know until I got here. And at the same time, too, I want to thank all these folks that helped us. Especially like my brother John said, the ones that were cleaning the graves. I watched them, gentle hands, just like it was their own baby. It made me feel good. I even sat there and cried. Because I felt so comfortable that we had beautiful ladies to do this for us, to bring them out of the sacred Mother Earth, to allow us to take them home, to allow us to feel that comfort that they probably never had, but we were here to comfort them. We gave them everything we possibly could to get them home. When we go home, I prayed for a good trip for our relatives. Put them back to B2 with Nana. That's what we're going to do when we get home. We're going to feel good about that. When we meet our reservation line, we're home. Again, we got boundaries over there. Big world, our boundary. Day one. My nephew said it. You bleed. It's the same. There's a lot of ways to look at these beautiful stories that we tell, these prayer stories. They're prayer stories to me because it makes a lot of sense to us. If you're not paying attention, it's going to catch up to you and you're going to understand what that individual person said. Man or woman, child or daughter. Are people very intelligent? Again, my brother John talked about that. They tried for many years to kill us all, I guess you could say it. We're still here. We're never going to leave this world until the Creator takes us. That's the stories I know about these ways, and all this what I do here, that ain't me. To be honest with you, it ain't me. It's that medicine that we burn, the smudge, sweetgrass, cedar, whatever. They take control over whatever we're going to do here. And we always pray when we start out with that prayer, that medicine, to keep us safe, to keep us honest, to show us the love and kindness that we have to anybody and everybody that comes through that door. And that means this big door that we're talking about right here, heavens. Because we're very short-tempered as humans. You get jealous of somebody over here, over there. It ain't like that, not in our way. We try not to practice that. We try to open the doors because we're not perfect. So we have to show people that we're trying to do something positive. And I want to thank all you guys for listening to me. And like I said, what I'm saying here, it's not really me. It's these spirits that I talk to while listening to all of you. I was telling my nephew Jeff and his companion, I said, geez, John stole all my speech. I said, I don't know what to say, but I want to thank you, John. You did a very good job, you know. So now you become the oldest elder here.
As soon as you come by, take your time. Did this hurt? Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole crew. Good to see you. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
What's going on? What's happening?
Devin's gonna ride with them colors.
Uh-huh.
The back.
Long journey back, but we're home. The cars are still rolling in.